With our last video out of the way, we have 3 games down and only 2 to go. This brings us to the finale of the Dark Souls trilogy, Dark Souls 3. I am not looking forward to this run. I played around with a spellcaster in this game previously and recall finding spellcasting to be pretty slow and pretty weak. And with the speed of combat heavily ramped up from Dark Souls 2, that's gonna be a problem for this challenge. Further, Dark Souls 3 is just a hard game. A normal playthrough is easily the hardest of the Souls games, and I really doubt tacking Sorcery Only onto the run is going to make that any better. But no more delays. Character made and staff in hand, we dive once more into Dark Souls. Wake up in a graveyard regretting my life choices, typical Monday. Pick up the Ashen Estus flask, which brings up a big difference from Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. We're back to the FP system from Demon Souls. This actually has pros and cons, but means we'll need to keep the FP cost of our spells in mind, rather than each spell having a specific number of casts. And the casting is a downgrade from Dark Souls 2 as well. No snappiness or punch to the animation, just this delicate ringing a bell animation? At least the spells travel at a decent pace and have better tracking than the DS1 spellcasting they are clearly emulating. Fortunately, the first boss isn't too much of a struggle. Don't get me wrong, he's no pushover for first bosses, and I have opinions about putting a boss in a game before you can buy anything or level up, but spells make short work of him. Plus, the increased game speed means I can actually use Heavy Soul Arrow, because its casting speed is no longer measured in lunar cycles. With Gundyr dead, we get to the new Firelink Shrine, which includes a convenient shop, smith, and level up waifu. Take the bonfire to Scenic Lothric, where we can get this journey really moving. Run through the area, ignoring most of the enemies and items because they will not help me here. Surely all this running through, not getting experience won't end up with me under-leveled and miserable later, right?
This spot marks our grave. This spot marks our grave. This spot marks our grave.
Vort also ends up not being too bad. He hits like a truck, especially since I haven't really gotten any levels, but my spells are dealing good damage and can hit him wherever he ends up with his tantrum charge. All about spacing and timing. Okay, this isn't a great start. This section of my notes is just labeled faffing about, and that is a pretty accurate label. I recruit Yol, having him draw out my true strength so he'll sell me Soul Greatsword. What can I say, sometimes you have to put out to get that great sword. Then I tried to free Greyrat, but didn't have the key, have to go get the key, which is where it becomes really obvious to me that the enemies who have shields are going to be a big problem. Well, that was an hour of my life basically wasted by not knowing what I'm supposed to be doing. It was at this point I spent longer than I should have trying to kill the Rotted Greatwood. This boss is optional, but it drops the transposing kiln that our Lord Buddy back at Firelink can use to convert boss souls into useful items. Spoiler, none of what he can give me will end up being useful even slightly. After a while, I realize I'm just being stubborn. I run ahead to get to Orbeck so I can buy the Farron Flash Sword. Boys, there's enough of me for everyone. Ow, never mind. During which I took a quick detour to kill this fire demon with our Katarina friend, who I almost got killed. This would have been very bad, because I'm gonna need his help with a later boss fight, and I cannot afford to mess up his quest. Orbeck is gonna be the primary spell vendor for this run. Yol helped by giving us his great sword, but Orbeck has a whole kit of swords and other spells. He also will take scrolls to get even more spells. I buy Farron Flash Sword, the smaller Soul Greatsword. Ugh, 1 intelligence too low, that's fine. Surely I can just fight the Greatwood again. finally get the int for Flash Sword and die several more times. Oh, he has another pustule here? And here? Oh, that would explain the problem. After that, some brief PvP glory of tricking these NPCs to drop to their deaths down this ladder. Then I accomplished basically nothing for a while. In my defense, I was kind of sick and it was late, but wow, this was just a worthless hour. The sort of hour of footage where you almost don't keep it. I ended up just hunting down the stray demon because I needed a boss to kill, and none of the other bosses were working for me. I'd recognize those cheeks anywhere. What's happened to you, Big Booty Boppin'? Yeah, stray demon dies, but this isn't even a boss, just a unique enemy. And I'm done for the day. Okay, so next we have two options for our boss, and they both suck. Seriously, I forgot how linear Dark Souls 3 actually is. Dark Souls 1 is praised for its interconnected world and non-linear progression. Even Dark Souls 2, though it doesn't get praise, has 4-ish paths out from Majula, which serves as the hub of the world. Dark Souls 3 is more like a single line with some slight diverting paths that all come to dead ends pretty quickly. Anyway, World Rant concluded. We have the Crystal Sage, who normally isn't too bad, but who is very resistant to magic damage, the only type of damage I can do. Then the Farron Watchdogs, but that's not right. Abyss Watchers, that's right. Anyway, they attack fast and leave very little time for spellcasting. It's also a group fight, and my damage is absolute trash. So my best option is to give a scroll to Orbeck to unlock Pestilent Mist, which I do, but I'm 7 intelligence short of casting it. I don't want to grind that out, so I gather some rings in the nearby area to help. Sage Ring increases my casting speed, and Silver Covetous Ring gets me more souls. Let's give the Sage a shot again. Nope. Let's get the Dust Crown. This boosts my spell damage, but makes me more vulnerable to magic. Okay, that is worse. Let's try the Abyss Watchers. Nope, still bad. Okay, I just need to grind up to get Mist so I can see how it works against the Crystal Sage. Oh my. That spell is gonna do some work this playthrough, isn't it? The Crystal Sage is finally dead, and now I actually have a new place to explore. Run past the enemies in and around the cathedral, skipping most of the challenges, and reach the deacons in record time. Yep, that mist is still doing some serious work. I forgot the actual mechanic for this fight, so I end up wasting a lot of FP murdering deacons that are not relevant, but eventually the mist solves all my problems. With them dead, I can continue Katarina Friend's side quest. See, he's stuck in a well that we need to lower down his armor so we can meet him again later, and our good friend Patches has his armor. Depending on all you've done up to this point, you can meet Patches in a few different places. And, where is Patches? Crap. I've checked every place you can beat him, and no Patches. So I think I borked this quest? And no Patches means no Katarina Friend to help with a later boss, Yorm, which you normally kill with a special sword, which I can't use, or have Katarina Friend use his sword, which does the same thing. Basically the Storm Demon from Demon Souls, except Yorm actually has HP and doesn't die in a light breeze of magic. Well, let's hope Yorm likes Mist. Back to the Abyss Watchers, and yep, turns out my problem was I was underleveled. With the souls I've gotten from the last area and a bit better at play, the Abyss Watchers go down. Sadly, Mist doesn't really get to work in this fight. The Watchers move too much, but Soul Greatsword's damage has finally come online. With the Abyss Watchers finally dead, I can descend into doomed Karthus, which is fine. I don't remember all the side passes and such in this place, but fortunately there isn't really anything here I want, and the actual path through the area is pretty easy to follow. Wow, they sure did just slap a bone asset on this ledge, huh? Wolnir isn't particularly difficult to fight in any playthrough, and he certainly isn't here. The reach and area of the Soul Greatsword means his skeleton adds don't even really do anything. If anything, this fight only takes as long as it does because Wolnir won't stay on the ground. Wolnir, get down here this instant! Next, Cold Irithyll awaits us. This area isn't too bad, other than the tall ice people with the curved swords. Enemies here aren't very fast, so it's really easy to just run through this place. Can't help but notice, but nothing in this area is taking good damage from my spells. These stupid dogs are really insistent on my death, and wow, yep, they earn it several times. Pontiff is next. He's fast, hits like a truck, has decent magic resistance, and in Phase 2 he summons a shadow duplicate of himself. I try a variety of different spells and equipment loadouts, and none of it really seems to make a difference. Turns out I just need to get good. So Smoldering Lake is actually a completely optional area, so I'd normally skip it. Except it does have a lot of smithing stones to get my staff upgraded. Fight the Demon King, and he dies with relative ease. He doesn't really have any ranged attacks of note, and doesn't move enough to stop being devoured by mist. Basically ran past all the other enemies to turn off the triple crossbow and get the smithing stones I came here for. Took some deaths to not dealing with enemies, but I got my stones. So this area kind of sucks, and I got lost a bunch. And these hooded fellows who sap your HP are shit enemies. Nothing really exciting here. Wow, the camera does not want these rats to be here. That's actually making me kind of dizzy. I'll be back for you later, Carla. Take a brief run through some poisoned swamp water, because this is in fact a FromSoft game. Kill Logan, which gives me his scroll and his staff. Once my intelligence is high enough, this will be the best scaling staff in the game. The sorceries the scroll give aren't the best, but they have their uses. If only Homing's Crystal Soul Mass didn't hit like a delicate caress. Grab a key and go back to rescue Carla. She'll sell me dark sorceries, which gives me another damage type to work with. Except none of the spells end up being any good, and every boss resistant to magic is also resistant to dark, so what's the point? Then it's time for Yorm. I have no Katarina friend to help me, and I can't use the conveniently placed plot sword. Fortunately, Yorm enjoys a helping of mist. It takes a while, Yorm's HP is no joke, but eventually the mist does him in. So the next boss I'd normally do is Aldrich, but his magic and dark resistance concern me. Instead, I attack this old woman with a magic sword to trigger the dancer fight early. I've definitely killed this boss early in a previous playthrough with Mist, but it just really isn't working here. She seems to be covering the distance to me faster than I remember, and Mist is just getting me killed. Fortunately, Soul Spear saves the day by dealing entirely too much damage. I do pop down to Osiris's gardens, even though they're optional, to pick up some shinies I want. Figure I might as well try fighting Osiris just to see how it goes. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. You know, this game is a lot shorter when you run through an area not fighting anything or picking up random junk. I get to Dragon Slayer in record time. Then I have to fight Dragon Slayer, and it does not go great. This boss is fast and can cover distance with a number of his attacks. He has a shield, my mortal enemy, and doesn't hesitate to use it. Also, in Phase 2, these flying jerks shoot lasers at you. Maybe I need the light roll for this. I've been sitting at just under 50% encumbrance so I can keep mid-roll, but the additional invincibility frames might be what I need. Light roll goes up to 30%? Wait, mid-roll goes up to 70%? Crap. I completely forgot this game had weird equipment levels. I could have been wearing 20% more armor this entire time. Let's try that first. The extra durability is exactly what I need to give me the time to remember how to fight this boy. One more boss down. Wait, this door is locked? Where do you get the key? Wait, you can't go into the archives until you kill the other 3 lords? Jeez, this game. Why are you so linear? The archer run-up in this game is actually easier than in Dark Souls 1, despite there being 3 times as many archers. Security must really be slacking after all these millennia. Good thing this area is short and easily runnable. Then we get to Aldrich, our 3rd Lord Soul. This fight takes a bit of finagling. Aldrich is very resistant to magic and dark damage. This means Mist is really my only option for dealing decent damage, but the timing of casting that while evading his spells is tricky. Also, he runs around the arena entirely too much. Eventually I changed into my ugliest, but most magic-resistant outfit, and that gave me the confidence, and damage resistance, I needed to score the victory. Ma'am, do you mind? I'm busy. Also, I killed you 2 hours ago. First, I kill this Crystal Sage with Mist, because then he won't be shooting spells at me later, and Mist, for some reason, doesn't cause him to teleport away. For some reason, this takes like 8 tries. Why am I so bad at dodging 2 attacks? Then I get really lost on the roof, then I get found, kill these Dark Souls 2 goobers, and I can rush my way past all these knights. I said, rush my way past all these knights. Then the twin princes, and wow, this fight sucks. Lorien teleports a bunch, which aside from inconsistently breaking lock-on, also throws off my dodge timing completely. Greatsword's casting time is too long to be reliable, but the Flash Sword doesn't really do enough damage to make up for it. And the run back to the fight absolutely sucks. It's not hard, it's just boring. Just ride 2 elevators slowly and into the arena. A full minute and a half from dying to try again. Okay, it's late, I'm tired, time for bed. Alright, I'm back, I'm rested, let's get into this. And nothing is working here. I tried embering for durability, I tried not embering just to learn the attacks. Getting through phase 1 by itself is tricky. Then phase 2 comes along, and you now have to deal with magic attacks on top of all of the sword attacks. And that run back isn't getting any less annoying. Until I was at a family dinner of all things, and my sister pointed out that I could rest at the Dragon Slayer bonfire and then run back across the bridge, which was both shorter and only had 1 boring elevator ride. Well, I'm an idiot. Finally, I just had to accept that I was under-leveled here. My vigor was only 20, which just was not enough to learn Lorien's attacks. Did a bit of grinding against some red-eyed knights who appreciated a crystal soul spear to the face, and got my vigor up to the soft cap of 27. This ultimately gave me the time I needed to actually learn the attacks in both phases. Next was the problem of damage. I've mostly been relying on Flash Sword because it is fast and deals okay damage to Lothric because he is weak to it. His brother Lorien, however, is not. He resists it. and Lorien, who actually needs to die in this fight, since if you kill Lothric in Phase 2, he just gets back up. So I must rely on my old friend, Mist. Mist is something I initially rejected because it is completely useless in Phase 1. Lothric teleports around the arena too much to reliably deal any damage to him. But in Phase 2, the twins actually teleport a lot less. It takes some practice to figure out when and where to cast the mist. Too close and I get flattened by the sword. Too far and Lothric doesn't lore walk fast enough to get into it. Cast at the wrong time and they might be moving backwards even. Eventually I get the spacing and the time. And now to bait out the attacks that will keep them in the mist. From there the end is inevitable. It ends how it always was going to. In mist. And with 4 Lord Souls once more in hand, we link the flame and find ourselves face to face with the Soul of Cinder. After the nightmare the twins put me through, this is nothing. It still takes a couple tries, unlike Gwyn, the Soul of Cinder is no joke, but that no longer matters here. He just can't keep up with me, and this run ends how it was always going to end, with Mist and Great Soul Arrow. Ugh, oofa doofa. That run certainly went as I expected it to. Dark Souls 3 is not for the faint of heart. I was really expecting better from the Flash Sword and Soul Greatsword, probably because I'm more familiar with their Elden Ring counterparts. This recording is also the first time I've ever scrapped footage. Seriously, I probably just didn't save 2 to 3 hours of play that didn't accomplish anything. Which is not the best sign when you're trying to do a challenge run. But thankfully, Lothric is well in our rearview window. Next time, we will head for the Lands Between, for the final game in this series, Elden Ring. Ah, that feels good.